This is Ken Pyle, and we're at the 20th anniversary summit for the ACA. We're with Bob Gessner of MCTV and Doug Hull of NCTC. Wow, there's a lot of stuff there. We'll start with you, Bob, because about a year ago we spoke, and you didn't really talk about this, but you were working on it, and that is your authentication approach to multi-screen or TV everywhere.
Yes, Ken, and since last year, we've made tremendous progress. Just after this event last year, Massillon Cable TV, MCTV, started to develop an authentication system we call Watch TV Everywhere. We basically passed that off to the NCTC and then went on to integrate that, about 90 co-op members, onto the Watch TV Everywhere platform for the Olympics. Once the Olympics were finished, we continued on that success by acquiring more content rights through the co-op and then integrating the member companies to that content. And Doug's been the point person on the co-op side of things for that.
Okay, well, let's talk to Doug about that, and I may come back to you with a question or two. Sure. So, Doug, content, it's always a challenge, right? And it's a challenge just getting it to the TV, but now you're talking about bringing it to other screens. So, tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. No, content, access to the content has been the challenge, but we've hit somewhat of a watershed moment in January and are now looking to bring on about 24 services to the Watch TV Everywhere platform. We're integrated now with 75 of the NCTC members for the March Madness live event for the NCAA tournament that's taking place later this month. But content has been the challenge, and it is yet to be determined as to what the consumer adoption and usage is going to be. It's so new. Yeah.
Well, have you gotten any kind of numbers on that as far as the numbers from the Olympics?
Yeah. We have seen some general numbers. As it relates to general entertainment, we're seeing about 2% adoption and usage by consumers. And live sports, I think Bob would agree, it tends to be the driver. It's the event signature type programming. And, between some of the services that we offer there, March Madness will be somewhat of a test there as well. But we see average consumer usage and adoption spike in the 17 to 20% range.
For the live event.
Live events, right.
I would imagine this week, next few days, with the conclave at the Vatican, that Fox News and the CNN live news feeds will also see an uptick as people just want to sort of check in and see what's happening there.
What about the consumer education part of it? Knowing that there's an app available and then getting them to download it and then getting them to use it. I mean, has that been a challenge?
I'll let Bob address that as an operator. Yeah. It's one of the things that we're trying to better prepare the membership and those affiliates of Watch TV Everywhere with. But Bob's probably got more experience in that.
We've tried to make it known to our customers. We've used sort of cross-channel and long-form programming and put it in our newsletters and things of that nature. It's kind of tough because we don't know if they don't use it because they don't want it, because they don't know about it, or because they're making a conscious choice that says, I'm not interested in that. So it's hard to say, but it's great to have that one additional element that consumers can find to use our product.
And what about from a content perspective? Are you finding that the content owners are allowing a little bit more of their content than maybe a year or two ago? On these applications.
It's getting better. It's getting better. I think initially it was fear of the unknown. I think there's still a lot of issues that need to be resolved from their point of view as it relates to how they're able to extend the monetization of the ad sales element for that. And I think as technology and advancements come along those lines, and whether or not Nielsen can get involved and somehow provide the benchmark ratings extension to the product, I think it'll only get better.
Well, and is that, I kind of infer from that we're still probably early days on the advertising. Are you starting to get your 3 minutes of local ad inserts yet for multi-screen?
No local ads at all. In fact, that's the way. There are various ways that the content owners want to monetize. Some want to charge for it. Others want it to make sure they're getting full distribution. Others have said, I'm taking back the local avails and I want to sell the advertising. So it is kind of this, as Doug said, this fear of the unknown or the unknown business model that's there. So we're seeing different types of business models associated with it. But in all cases, I think with the most recent contract renewals, it's another chip on the table that is bargained about, and that's one of the reasons why I think the progress was fairly slow.
That makes sense, and I imagine the other challenge has been the user interface too. If each programmer has their own kind of idea of what is.
Yeah, and honestly, we've started to see a little pushback from consumers on that very fact. Turner is a great example there. For each of their services, each of the services has its own individual app, and I think this is a learning experience for everyone involved. I mean, we were certainly way out in front on what could be represented as a revolution for video consumption. And so everybody's learning, and I think one of the things that we need to concentrate on is that user experience. It's only going to lend well to future adoption and more consumption and usage by consumers to make it familiar and easy for them to use.
And that's actually one of the things that we did as a group, was we made the interface very easy from the perspective of our customers reaching watchTVEverywhere.com. That always looks the same, the logos are there, they're easy to reach, but once they take that next step and they're handed off to the content provider's site, even within the same family, Turner, for example, sometimes it's called Live, sometimes it's called Extra, sometimes the link is in the upper left or the lower right or across the top, and it's hard for consumers to get that comfortable, consistent approach to that online content.
So I guess next year we'll be talking about how NC2A did this year and maybe some other things, but what else do you think we'll be talking about?
I think hopefully we'll be in a position where we're talking about developments in the area of how to further extend not only the monetization for the programmers but also for the cable operators. It's a point of contention, as Bob suggested earlier in our negotiations for the rights for these things. But it's an evolving product, and I think there's many paths it could take. But I think the key driver for the initiative is going to be, what does the consumer want? What do they use? How do they use it? And how do we improve the product to better that experience?
Yeah. And I like to think in the years to come, especially among our members, where there's not as much 4G, there's not as much bandwidth, there's not as much cell signal, that there may be consumers who have difficulty using it. So it'll be interesting to watch in the future as the wireless infrastructure improves, if we don't see similar improvements in our utilization, because they can.
Well, and that leads to, I wasn't going to ask this question, but it does lead to the importance of then, Wi-Fi, whether the cable operators are providing it, and if it's Wi-Fi outside the house or Wi-Fi inside the house. Are those conversations taking place too, as far as the location of where the content can be viewed?
Yeah, it is. At this point in time, I think most of us feel fairly secure in saying wireless inside the home, on tablets and so forth. That's just a wireless TV set. No real difficulty there. Once it gets outside the home, it gets to be a completely different situation, and you have to start worrying about DRM, digital rights management, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, definitely it's going to be a continuing conversation as it becomes more mobile and more distant from the home.
Well, super. It'd be great to catch up with you next year. Awesome. Then. So,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Doug.
Ken. Thank you.
Thank you.